Good evening, Head Injury Jane here. It is December the 12th, 2014. My doctor's visit was a little longer than expected yesterday because apparently I'm in so much pain. My BP is spiking. I think that's why it's spiking. I think the ophthalmologist thinks that's why it's spiking. The ophthalmologist was a little bit like, why did they send you here? For the swelling, because of course the head injury and the pseudotumor cerebri and the ear ringing, that's just out of control. And sure enough, um, other than my blood pressure just being way off the charts, the ophthalmologist was like, I'm going to get you an MRI ordered. So I think finally an MRI is about to be ordered. This is critically important at this juncture, especially after everything I continue to read and research about head injuries and returning headaches. I've had a headache now for, I want to say 5 days at least. I mean, straight. Kind of get headaches here and there, but I mean, I have not stopped hurting now. And the ears are just ringing really insanely. And it's extraordinarily uncomfortable, hard to think. I actually do feel better today because I believe that when I did go to the doctor yesterday, they did everything they could for me. They were so kind, and just took care of everything. They were really like in there, but sure enough, the ophthalmologist was like, you need an MRI, and I'm like, yes, I agree. It's a little shocking that so far out of all the doctors that I've seen, no one has actually ordered an MRI, and multiple doctors seem to think that the CAT scan is an acceptable replacement. It is not even remotely close. You must understand or know that. A CAT scan is not as important or as medically, I can't think, my poor head, and I'm cognitively, I'm down. I've been down. It doesn't reveal as much information about the injury. A CAT scan does not. It's not going to show molecular level damage. And we're at molecular level damage when we have a closed TBI and it was never imaged properly and has yet to be imaged. And I'm having just tons of stuff going on in my head. It's painful. It's disorienting. It's just got me kind of locked down. Now like I say, I feel much better today just because I do feel like the quality of care that I received at the establishment that I was at yesterday it was lovely. Everyone was just so lovely. So that I thought was fantastic. I do have an appointment next week to see my primary care physician. We did decide that it's going to be most likely we're going to have to figure out what's going inside the head. I'm going to have to go see the ear specialist, the eyes, ears, nose, throat specialist. At this point, at the end of the year of 2014, I was hoping that I could have accomplished more healing. I wanted to be further along. I wanted this painful, what I kind of term what's happening to me right now is headiness. But this is even worse than the normal headiness, I believe, because the headache has stayed for 4 days straight. Both my ears are ringing very loudly, and my neck, I'm trying to stay loosey-goosey and not be stressed out, but I think that I am holding some internal stress, and it's just eating up my neck because my neck is quite severely injured. So I'm holding all of my stress in my neck, which is just making it all worse. So it's like one of those things where you're riding this orchestra of disorganization in the brain. And it's really important. It's really important to keep a grasp on what you're experiencing. See, I'm writing it down. The list that I took to the ophthalmologist is now the list that I'm going to take to my new, I was going to say her name, but I'm not going to my primary care provider next week, along with the fact that, because I went to the ophthalmologist for the swelling, but there's all the ear ringing stuff I took to the ophthalmologist too, because of course this was my list. This is when I called the appointment center and said, hey, this is what's going on with me. But I do understand why the nurse for my primary care provider wanted me to go to an eye doctor first, I believe, because, we can't get our vision back, and most people would be fearful of losing their vision. And I think that she said, her in her mind, she was like, let's make sure your vision is okay. And that's really important because my vision is still kind of going in and out. When my eyes were examined yesterday and they were looked at, and they even took photos of my optic nerves again, or my vascular system around both of my eyes. I got to see it. What a lovely staff. They were lovely. And anyway, I got to see, the vascular setup in my eyes. They looked fantastic to me. I thought they looked tight. They were beautiful. Nothing looked atrophied. I don't think anything looked atrophied. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might, but I'm sure, when the ophthalmologist looks at it, if she saw anything that, will raise her concern, she'll let me know. But, yeah, lovely team of physicians and nurses and assistants and everyone working in chorus yesterday, because I did end up getting trapped by my blood pressure. My blood pressure was like 160 something over 116 or 118, something like that. I think it was somewhere in there. I can't tell you how strange it is to not remember certain things like that, like those numbers and just stuff. It's so bizarre to me. I can't remember I can't remember anyone's name. If it wasn't written down, I wouldn't have the ophthalmologist's name, because the short-term memory is gone. I should be getting business cards, that will help me, right? To make sure I'm practicing my face with a name. So instead of just giving up on trying to memorize people's names, I need to now focus. I just now made a little mental note to myself, get business cards, put faces with names, and work that as memorization. One of the things that I'm doing, and I think it's really fantastic, and I want to urge anyone who's having memory issues, and please forgive me, my head is hurting so bad right now, so just forgive me if I'm offbeat or whatever. I'm in a lot of pain. One of the things that I'm doing for myself, for neuroplasticity, to stretch my memory, I call it stretching my memory, because I am hoping that the damage is not permanent. So I'm wanting to poke and prod and wake it up and do these things. And I've been a singer. I sing, and I have sang since I was a very small child. I've been a singer my whole entire life. So I have a huge catalog of music, lyrics that are memorized. That I sing like I own it. I've never karaoke, don't get me wrong, it's all very private, but I've been doing it my whole life. So one of the things that I'm doing is, and I actually can replicate the singers' voices, by the way, because of my memorization in my brain is able to turn it around and put it back out. I'm able to replicate the sound. That doesn't matter, that's a whole different process. But the memory, and I'm, of course I stumble, but I know that as long as I keep working at that and keep singing, and I have a huge catalog of music because I love all music, funny enough. There's not one genre of music that you could name that I would dislike. Believe it or not, I love every genre of music. So fortunately for me, this is a way that I get to capture and test and tweak and stretch my memory. Now that's mostly long-term memory, of course, but there is some short-term memory music. And when I say short-term, I mean, I don't listen to the radio and I don't watch television. So when I say short-term memory music, it's probably from like soundtracks from movies. If there's a song I hear, I will track it down. That's how I found a young lady named Emily Wells. Becomes the Caller is the name of the song, and that was last year, maybe. Yeah, that was last year. But so when I say new music, I don't, have new music from a month ago. Not really, because I'm not exposed to modern music. Primarily because I don't think much of it's. Well, I say that. I mean, there's going to be tons of genres where there's good stuff coming out, but there has been this sort of melt where a lot of it just sounds like all pop music, and it all sounds so overproduced and just too forced. And I like my music to have heart and soul. Anyway, so that's one of the things that I'm doing for neuroplasticity, to stretch my memory. And I love the idea of thinking of my little neurons as stretching, and I see them stretching like little beans. Like the shape of a bean. So they have that cute little like boink, So that's what I do to force the memory is I sing. What are the things that I do? I mean, it's one of the things that I can verifiably know for sure that I'm not misremembering because it's already written. So in other words, when I'm singing it, if I'm misremembering it, it's right there in front of me to correct. And so then I start putting that back to memory again. And it builds the catalog back up, and it is working a neuroplasticity. I'm stretching my memory. And so I highly recommend that if you like to sing, or if there's anything that, especially like singing for me, because it's really a couple things are going on. You got the beat and the tempo and the lyrics and the rhythm, and there's just so much happening. And I find that when I'm able to be very relaxed and calm in doing it, I just right in. I can fall right in. I don't think I've yet to sing one of my old songs all the way through without messing up. But I just keep at it. I just keep going over and over and over. And you can I do know that I can remember because I did it, I'm a writer, and if there's something I've been following for months and months and months, I'm able to, and then I'm rereading the information, I'm rereading and inspecting and auditing the information or whatever. I'm able to put a number of things to memory. But I'm still, the short term is still, it is very challenging, the short term memory. And it's so difficult being an injured brain person, going out into the world and trying to advocate for myself to these medical professionals. I spent 3 hours at the doctor's office yesterday, and I was in an upbeat, great mood because I was there to be treated and they were there to treat me, and it was very symbiotic and it was a wonderful thing. But I was so exhausted, and I'm still exhausted today from it. Those 3 hours just wore me down. Now it was so lovely being helped by the people that I was helped by. They were so kind. And just so point on it was great. It was just so welcoming. And, but it is difficult being an injured brain, having an injured brain and then advocating for myself. I actually got frustrated with somebody today on the phone because here she is. She's a representative of, a vocational, brain injury, disabilities type of place. And she's talking to me as if I should just be already. And I was like, excuse me, you're talking to a brain injured individual. So don't talk to me like I should just already have everything memorized. I take offense to that. I mean, I'm extraordinarily polite and kind, but when someone's going to be rude to me, I'm going to stop them in their tracks and take charge of the conversation because I have to keep my facilities tight. I can't have someone impugning me and me thinking about why are they impugning me? I mean, I'm doing a great job. I'm here advocating for myself. I'm calling on behalf of myself. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm the brain injured person. I'm not representing a brain injured person. Because no matter how much it sounds like I'm together, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to keep it going. And I'm telling you right now, my brain, my ears, my head, my neck, it's all in this mad chorus of pain. And it has me very worn down now. I'm very worn down. I'm puffy. I haven't taken any over-the-counter pain medication today because that's driving the blood pressure. I can't do it. So I limited. Obviously, everything is just super stripped back. It's my responsibility to take care of myself. If I'm having high blood pressure, restrict the caffeine. That's what I've done. Restrict high sodium foods, which I don't eat a lot of junk food. I don't drink sodas. I drink soda water, just seltzer water or mineral water. I don't really ingest a lot of processed foods or ill-prepared foods. I really love whole foods. I'm a whole foods woman. I believe it makes you healthy. So I'm taking control of the diet, of what I'm ingesting into my body, to try and help my body, not have high blood pressure. So no caffeine, right? No caffeine. You wouldn't drink alcohol. You wouldn't smoke, right? You don't do these things. It's so out of control right now for me that I'm, taking charge. But the beautiful thing is dark chocolate is great. Real dark chocolate, not the highly processed candy bars, but we're talking about a nice dark chocolate that's well done, limited ingredients, right? We don't want a lot of processed and a lot of preservatives and a lot of this junk that hurts us. But dark chocolate is just a beautiful thing. And I drink a lot of decaffeinated tea. Anyway, for the theanine, which you've heard me talk about, THEANINE, I believe, and that's long-term memory. Da-da. So I can pull them. I can still pull tons of long-term memories for the most part. Not all. And there's been shocking to me. I know you've already probably seen the videos if you've been watching any of these. There was a couple like the whisk. If you ever find a video named the whisk, you should watch it. It was just astonishing. Had no memory of a whisk that was mine for 10 years. So that was a long-term memory that was gone. I was like holding this nice whisk and I'm like, this is mine. This is yours. But anyway, I'm puffy right now. But I'm not taking any pain medication. I'm not taking any OTC, anything. Like obviously if you have high blood pressure, you wouldn't take Alka-Seltzer, right? Because it's got some crazy amount of sodium bicarbonate in it. And that's going to get sodium. It's got a high sodium content. So you have to think about what you're ingesting. We have to police ourselves. We have to advocate for ourselves. We have to have a voice for ourselves. We have to police ourselves to do what's best. We can't say, my brain is injured. I'm in a ton of pain. I'm just going to drink all this alcohol, which by the way is a depressant and will make everything worse. So ultimately it'll make the pain worse. It'll make the central nervous system out of whack. Out of whack. So we really have to take responsibility, and it is kind of a weird sacrifice. I can't take ibuprofen right now or Excedrin, and I'm in a ton of pain. But I don't want to drive the blood pressure. I would much prefer to be in pain than have what I think is blood pressure that's just out of control. Dangerous, because blood pressure is very dangerous. High blood pressure is extraordinarily dangerous. And having the pseudotumor cerebri, which is intracranial high pressure in my head. I have intracranial high, so you can imagine, okay, this is 17 minutes, this one a little bit long. I just wanted to talk to you about what happened yesterday, where I am today, and just talk to you a little bit more about our food and taking responsibility for what we ingest to try and naturally control what we can. Control what we can. We can control what we can. We don't have to have the coffee in the morning. We don't have to have the cocktail in the evening. We can pass on these things until our body comes back down. Hopefully, hopefully our body comes back down. Because right now it's kind of out of control in my head, and I'm waiting for it to. Because I had it under control as far as the ear ringing, but now I got all this kind of going on, and it's out of my control right now. I'm writing it out. So I do want to share that with you and let you know that I'm fine. I have an appointment for next week. The doctors, I think, are working in conjunction, and I hope that you are doing fantastic. Watch your heads and take great care. Head Injury Jane, saying, have a great night.